you so much for joining us tonight on this very timely webinar. I think there couldn't be a better topic as we head into this very busy holiday season. And I'm so grateful for all of our speakers who could come tonight. My name is Kayleigh Moffitt. I'm the president of Women's Federation for World Peace USA, and I also have the pleasure of serving as your moderator for today's program. So today's webinar is called Empathy and Action, the Art of Forgiving and Forgetting. It's a pretty interesting topic. And before we hear from our distinguished speakers, I want to give a little bit of a background about where this topic came from. We and Women's Federation for World Peace, we were founded by Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, who we lovingly refer to as Mother Moon. She's a world-renowned peace builder and peacemaker and works from people from diverse backgrounds all over the globe. And as we build these webinars, we're really trying to find, especially, the woman's touch in peace building and how essential that is to our world today. But we're also trying to take a look at, what are the additional missing pieces? And today we're talking about this area of giving and forgetting. There's these three topics from Mother Moon's peace philosophy on this topic of true love and the act of giving. And she defines true love as giving and forgetting, and then even more than that, wishing that you could give more. And it's kind of an interesting concept here because oftentimes, I'm a mom of 3 young children, and I know at the end of the day, I'm pretty exhausted and I can feel like don't have much more left to give. I think some of you may know what I'm talking about here. But the idea of true love is a love that's much bigger than yourself, that even as you give, we can train ourselves to forget about it, to not count it, to not keep a memory of it, and continue to give, and having this desire to want to give, then imagine how much that would change our world. It's beyond the idea of just giving, it's giving and forgetting. And it goes hand in hand with this second point that Mother Moon talks about, which is that the nature of quote unquote true love is circular and infinite, which means that the more we give it out, the more that we receive. This is a law of the universe, that love, it moves in a circular path. It has no ending, it has no beginning, because it is an unending circular spherical experience. And the third point that Mother Moon talks about is that true love involves selflessness and sacrifice and a life that lives for the sake of others. There's one short quote I just want to highlight here that Mother Moon says. She says, "When I see people in need, I cannot pass them by. That is the nature of true love that originates in the deepest heart of heaven." And I think this is a universal truth found no matter what your spiritual or religious background may be, that this concept of the importance of true love being about giving and living for the sake of others. Now, these are the underpinnings of a peaceful world, we believe. And Mother Moon has spent her life working in so many different spheres, founding schools and character education, service organizations, charity, and so forth. She and her husband started so many different businesses that support the local community. So it's about legacy and longevity within the community. And she's a fantastic example of this kind of work. But we're also joined by some incredible women who have also been trailblazing this area of living for the sake of others, giving beyond themselves, and somehow managing all the other things that they have going on in their lives. And we're very excited to hear their perspectives, their lessons, and what they've accomplished through this kind of work. So we actually had 3 speakers who were meant to speak today, but one of our speakers had an emergency come up, so she unfortunately isn't able to make it today. But the 3 of us are going to have a fantastic webinar today. And I'm excited to welcome our first speaker. Her name is Ms. Ethel Luzario. She is the co-founder of Market on the Move, the 3000 Club. Ethel Luzario is a realtor by trade and an entrepreneur for 25 years. She is a community advocate, philanthropist, and a veteran of medical and humanitarian outreach to Honduras, Mexico, the Philippines, and Vietnam. Born in the Philippines, she migrated and worked at the United Nations Development Program for 15 years prior to moving to Arizona in 1996. Locally, Ethel's commitment to community service is reflected in her roles as co-founder and currently serving as the board of director for the 3000 Club, a 501c3 nonprofit organization which focuses on food rescue, disaster relief, and recycling initiatives. She is currently serving as a board member and was the past president of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona, played a key role in the Asia Pacific Community in Action, and held leadership positions in the Lions Club district in Arizona. My goodness, what an amazing background here we have. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Ethel. Ethel, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. It's really a privilege to be able to join you guys here. And I would like to share, the PowerPoint presentation here. So I'm going to omit, my background and go to the next slide. I just want everybody to see my transformation, and it came from being a lion, being invited in 1998, and for about 25 years, I've been involved in eye cataract surgical and humanitarian missions to Mexico and the Philippines. We chartered, the first family club in 2015, actually, through Phoenix Asian American Lions. We have the kids in our club, 13 through 18, and the Leos 12 and below. The club actually being one of the largest service organizations in the world with 1.4 million members. The project surrounds in alleviating hunger, youth engagement, medical and humanitarian missions, military and their family support, seniors, pet rescue, school supplies, backpack distributions, Ukraine outreach, eyeglass sorting, just to name a few. In 2009, I was asked to help rescue a pledging food bank in Nogales, Arizona. So we established the reclamation of food in that area. We established it in 2009, and the signature projects became Market on the Move. For $10 donation, you can actually get surplus of food, fruits and vegetables that otherwise would have gone into the landfill because of their imperfection. So we created the Market on the Move because we bring this produce, and it's not collecting from supermarkets. We collect them from produce brokers in Nogales by pallets. And we are on track to help over 800 families this year through Market on the Move. And with that came, shipping containers of medical supplies, surplus of medical supplies to other countries. And of course, we could not, this outreach could not have been possible without the engagement of volunteers. True love for me is giving unconditionally. As my background has, as you have seen my background, everything kind of relates, to what I do. Being a realtor actually gave me the time to be able to serve, the community. Through Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona, I became a supporter, strong supporter of the small business community, especially the Filipino American community in Arizona. Currently involved in Asian communities as well, Asian American communities, and we're at 230 in numbers, and we are growing strong. We want to be able to have that strong voice in, the community. And the way that I do it is through engagement. I believe in empowerment of women, especially, the kids also. Growing up, well, well, growing up in the Philippines, there was no opportunities, for us growing up in the Philippines. And it was only through my transformation moving to Arizona that I actually found my true purpose. I left a well-paying job at the United Nations, moved to Arizona, not knowing what was really in store for me in Arizona. But I kind of trust, our Heavenly Father to kind of guide me through it. And when I let that happen, the transformation just, came through. And I also believe that it was through the 3000 Clubs Market on the Move that he had given me my my dream ministry, because it's in alleviating hunger, empowerment in the community. And I was able to get, to do so many things, in the community through relationship building. Selfless service for the sake of others. I wish that, there would come a time in each one's life that sometimes volunteering doesn't come naturally, and it would just grow as you allow yourself to start immersing in that environment. Because when you help others, then, when you open up, um, the world will open up to you also. When you're ready to make an impact in the community, help the community, think of others rather than yourself, then you're actually allowing yourself to get immersed in a world whereby, there's so much love and empathy, and the need to be able to service, other people. In our club, the Phoenix Asian American Lions Club, we invite the families to serve together, because we strongly believe that when the parents are involved in volunteering, their kids will grow to be responsible person also, because you don't become an amazing person kind of overnight. It starts, when they're young, and then, they build their self-esteem, they get involved in the community, and they become, a well-rounded, person. So that's the thoughts that, we strongly believe in. My goal right now, I got married in 2017, and you know, I just celebrated my birthday, and whenever, my birthday comes, it's like, okay, God, what's next? So we want to establish scholarship, for the kids, so that they can actually stay in school and engage in the community. And we can actually do that by putting a structure whereby involvement of the teens can actually happen. And that's actually the end of my presentation. If you have any
Wonderful.
questions.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Ethel. And we're going to come back in just a few minutes. So if you have questions for her, please go ahead and put them in the chat. But I wanted to just mention what I love this concept. Well, first of all, we want to wish you a happy belated birthday, as Ria also put
Thank
in the
you.
chat. So happy birthday. But I thought it was an interesting concept about the transformation that comes with just, you had a very well-to-do job with the United Nations, and you kind of followed the spirit wherever it was leading you, and it led you into this life of, true love and practicing it, and so many different opportunities. And I also want to mention that I love that Market on the Move turns into a mom acronym, because it feels like you have this heart of a mom, right, for the community and bringing people together and serving the community. So let's give her a wonderful round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your work and your heart with us. And we'll bring you back in just a few minutes. So I'm going to welcome our next speaker, Miss Margaret Bauer, who goes by Margie Bauer. She is the Director of Development of Supportive Friends. Margie Bauer is, okay. So this is an organization that teaches women in remote villages, primarily in Zimbabwe, to sew their own washable, reusable menstrual pads. Margie has a degree in physics and math from Providence College and an MBA from the University of Phoenix, where Miss Ethel is from. She is a scientist that sells plastics for Thermo Fisher Scientific and also is a community action coordinator for them and organizes STEM events at local schools, gathers groups to cook and serve meals to homeless women at Rosie's Place, holds events to pack over 10,000 hygiene kits for Clean the World, and organizes Rise Action Hunger events to pack shippable meals for those in need. She is also active as a lecturer at her church, and Margie joined Supportive Friends in 2018 after attending a presentation by the founder, Julie Pippin, and has since traveled to Africa 4 times to teach classes. Margie, I sounds like you don't have any free time, which is amazing that you found an hour to spare to share with us today. But yeah, we're really excited to have you on, and the floor is now yours.
Thank you so much for that nice introduction. And I'm really honored to be able to be here and speak with everybody today, especially during this season of giving. It's a great topic that we can all focus on. I feel that giving out of the love in our hearts is really, getting something ourselves indeed. And out of giving, when we get, it's kind of addictive. And then you keep wanting giving because it just really fuels your soul and it feels so good. So I wanted just to share with you a few of the ways that I have given in different ways in the community. The first one comes with this time of season when we go shopping. So I was out in Marshall's, and I'm not a big shopper, I'll share. So when I go, I wear my craziest sweater. I sing really loud when I'm in the aisles so that people are like, ooh, stay clear of her. And then I wear my Christmas hat. So I was in Marshall's, and this old man, I call him Scrooge, he came up to me and he said, "You just like attention." And I said, "Well, what makes you say that?" I could see the corners of his mouth going up and a little smile. And he said, "Because of your hat." So we started in conversation, and I got to learn how his wife had recently passed, and he was out there just trying to buy a gift for his cleaning lady because he wanted to give her something for Christmas. So we shopped together, we talked. So just by giving a smile, giving some time and a chat, it really helped him. And I mean, it made me feel good that he had that little bit in his life going through what he was going through. So just by giving a smile, we can change people. As Kaylee mentioned, I do go to Zimbabwe to teach sewing. And when you go, you bring really large, like duffel bags, and you go down long roads to these villages, bring donated items, and then you meet just absolutely wonderful groups of women, and you get to teach them how to sew, and you just get to talk about women things. So in today's world, it really blows my mind that women don't have access to feminine protection. And a lot of women still have to use chicken feathers, cow dung, maybe a scrap of cloth, like a pocket that they pull off of a t-shirt when they have their period. So it's not very sanitary. And then it also leaks, which causes embarrassment when it's on their clothes. So a lot of girls won't go to school because they don't want to risk that embarrassment. So by going there, teaching them to sew their washable, reusable pads, it gives them the opportunity to finish school, to have these pads, available to them that last a year or two. And then also the sewing teaches them a skill. So now when they graduate, they can have that skill to not only make pads for themselves and their community, but then they can make maybe school uniforms or something to bring in income and help their way of living and their life. Another trip that I took to Africa was in Uganda. And as travel happens, my luggage got lost. But I take travel insurance. So I was able to go out and buy a change of clothes, buy some necessities to get me by until my luggage met up with me. And it did when I was up in northern Uganda, kind of on the border of South Sudan. So I stayed at a campus that had a sewing school at which I was teaching the making of the pads. It also had a school for orphans to learn, and it had a clinic there. So I was setting up, a woman showed up, 8 months pregnant, naked, and bleeding. So of course we have the pads that'll help with the bleeding that was happening. And then I realized this extra clothes that I didn't need that I bought just for that short time period when I didn't have luggage, I went and got all those and gave those to her as well. So this way she could be clothed during the last months of her pregnancy and maybe beyond, and she could get help. Now the children, I went up to an orphanage up on the border. They were recently orphaned because there's still horrible things going on up there. And when they saw us come in, the smiles that they had, and they just wanted hugs. They wanted to hold hands. They wanted to dance. So that's how we spent the afternoon, was just singing songs, dancing, smiling, singing. There were some Doctors Without Borders that were with us, and they said, well, do you know that they can transmit worms to you because they're not in sanitary conditions? Would I change a thing for those smiles and that fun that we had with those children that day? Not a chance. Just by giving, again, it didn't take much, but it was just such a rewarding experience. And then another one that was one of my work events was doing the hygiene packing kits. So you put together a kit that includes like socks and shampoo and toothpaste and soap. And a lot of the kits went to a group called Showers for All, where trailers are set up in homeless communities so that people can go in, get cleaned up, and feel like themselves for a little while, and not have all the street dirt on them. So that between there, and then some went to the hospitals, because with the large amount of immigrants coming in to hospitals, airports, and things where they're staying, they don't have these necessities. So by packing all these kits, they're distributed to local communities so that people can then get cleaned and feel good about themselves. So in summary, the giving really comes in many different ways. It could come in a smile. It can come in a song. It can come in bringing large amounts of fabrics to communities and meeting with women on how to sew. Whenever I come back from these trips, I am exhausted beyond belief, but I would do it again in a heartbeat, because it really does fuel my soul. So I hope that you get the chance to give in any way that you can and enjoy this holiday season. Thank you.
Wow. Let's give Margie a round of applause. You know, you started your sharing today with the idea that giving really is getting something in return. And I felt like the circle of your stories here surrounded that as well, is that every time you gave of yourself, you got something in return. You learned something from the man in the store. You got the smiles and the joy and, those kinds of relationships. It's such a perfect example of the way that the universe works. That the more we give, the more we receive. So let's give her one more round of applause. Thank you, Margie, for living the life that you're living, just as an example, and for the work that you're doing in many different areas, as we heard from your bio today. And before I bring them back up for our discussion together, I wanted to just show a quick video about one of the projects that we support in Women's Federation for World Peace. We are an international organization, and so we have over 120 chapters all over the world. And along with our Empowerment for Women and Global Women's Peace Network, we also support many humanitarian projects that are happening all over the world. And right now, our chapter in the United States has been focusing on raising funds for our Schools of Africa project. So I wanted to just share our 3.5 minute video just to give you an idea of some of the things that we've been doing. Bear with me while I bring it up.
If your family is starving, if your family member is almost dying, what would you do? You help. It's a natural thing. It's a very natural thing. That's why your children in Africa, they're suffering still.
At Women's Federation for World Peace, we take pride and responsibility for the continued success of thousands of students from 10 schools in Africa. We consider them part of our extended family. Our journey to help poor and displaced boys and girls started in 1992 by WFWP founder Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon to provide for children, women, and families who lack access to a quality education. Over $500,000 has been raised for tuition in addition to new school construction, desks, sewing machines, computers, ovens, refrigerators, septic tanks, copiers, and repainting over 14 classrooms. Thanks to your continuing support, students are entering the workforce and society as doctors, lawyers, computer technicians, entrepreneurs, dress designers, farmers, business administrators, teachers, nurses, cosmetologists, and more.
Yeah, great video. And I know all of our speakers here today are supporting such great projects. And we wanted to highlight this one that all of our chapters in the US have been fundraising for this last month. So if you're interested, we'll put the link in the chat and you can support this really great effort of supporting thousands of children and adults who are graduating from these different programs. So I'm going to bring back Ethel and Margie, and we're going to just have a little bit discussion more on this topic of empathy and action and what we're calling the art of giving and forgetting. And the first question I want to bring to both of you is, it sounds like you are both, if I may say, living examples of this kind of life, although I know none of us are 100% perfect, right? We do the best we can. but it's not easy. And it's not easy for people to live this way. And there are a lot of barriers to kind of embracing the lifestyle of giving without the expectation of receiving, just giving for the sake of giving and living for the sake of others. So I'm curious your thoughts on what are those barriers? What do you feel like in our society today prevents people from giving outside of themselves or going beyond their comfort zone? What are the things that block people from embracing this kind of lifestyle? Ethel, can we go to you first?
Absolutely. I think it's, the lack of time as well. I've been privileged to be able to enter the world of real estate, and with that comes, flexibility in time also. And when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, there is a lot of time that you can do all this work. With the technology, it also allowed me to keep in touch with my clients, although I'm in the remote areas in the Philippines. Technology is awesome now that, my client sometimes does not know that I'm actually out of town. Having said that, one of the challenges also is sometimes the volunteering opportunities are not geared towards family. It's either the kids are volunteering and then, the parents would just simply drop them off, or the parents volunteering and then the kids are staying home. And this is, one of the purpose of establishing, the family club, because we have, the Leos 13 through 18, and we have the Cubs 12 and below, and you will see the transformation, of the kids when it comes to speaking in public. So that's one of the ways that we can actually engage, the whole family. And currently, right now, they're doing caroling in senior establishments. So.
Wow, that's great to hear. It's a whole life cycle you have that you're building. And I mean, the point you're bringing about time, I think, is very relevant. I heard you say you wake up at 4 in the morning. That is such
Yeah.
an achievement. Congratulations.
And
that you
some of our
usually
kids have been a part of traveling to Mexico also on humanitarian missions. So we allow them, or we give them that opportunity, because we also believe that when they see the hardship in other countries, because most of the kids born in United States, they're so privileged. There's no opportunity for them to be out of the country because they're small. But Mexico is just close by. It's just 5 hours away from us, and we collaborate with the local Lions Club. So we do the backpack distribution, do the dental and other things that can really help the community.
Mm. Yeah, wow, that's great that you bring kids on to expose them to right. They have the opportunity to be involved in that kind of experience. Thank you, Miss Ethel. How about Margie? What do you feel like are some of the barriers for people embracing this kind of lifestyle?
Well, I do have to agree with Ethel that time, because everybody's like, oh, too busy. No, oh, got something else to do. And a lot of it is I'm on my, phone doing something. Well, if you wanted time and you knew how it felt, you can make time. And I think part of it is fear of the unknown too. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know about it. Ooh, what do I do? So it's education, learning about, and like I had said, it can come in various ways. It doesn't have to be a formalized, way of giving. You can give in so many different ways if you just do take a minute. You don't have to take hours. It doesn't take long, but a lot of people are wrapped up in their own things that they don't look beyond and to get that feeling and to get that way.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting point. It is fear of the unknown and discomfort that you're presented with a new situation to maybe grow, right? To have an opportunity, but the initial response in our society is like, to protect yourself and to block yourself out from that. But how much more blessing we get when we're able to open ourselves up to those kinds of opportunities. Even, as Ethel, as you were sharing your story, you didn't know what was coming your way when you moved, right,
Mhm.
to to Arizona, but that's when you walk willingly into those kinds of unknown situations, you get so much tremendous experience from that. Mm.
And if I can just add something also, because, depending on the age group also, so from the little kids, to the seniors, to those who are not able to get out of their homes anymore, they can actually write cards. It can be sent, to the seniors living in assisted living. We send them to military personnel being deployed in other countries also, because we have those outreach as well. So there are a lot of things that, once you kind of get to know the volunteers or what you want to do, then, there's always something in it for you. So don't be overwhelmed with, oh, I cannot do, what you're doing, Ethel. It doesn't come overnight, because the heart to give, you'll just kind of nurture it as you are progressing into your giving, into your loving, into your serving. So
Mm. Wow, that's great advice. That's right. As you kind of get involved in it, you'll find the right opportunities, and you don't have to feel limited, right? That you can't do certain things. There's always different ways for us to give, no matter what our situation is. It kind of brings up a point for me that I'm very curious about because, like I said, I certainly get exhausted at the end of the day, and I know you two ladies are working very hard in your life. Can I ask maybe a more personal question of how you manage that and how you overcome the times when you're not feeling as motivated to give of yourself and live for the sake of a bigger purpose and volunteer your time? What motivates you to kind of persevere through those segments of your life to keep giving beyond yourself? Margie, I'm going to come to you first this time, if that's okay. You have any wisdom to share with us?
Well, I know I get that, the feeling after I give. And so I know how it feels. So that is always a motivating factor just to keep going. And then, we all have daily lives and it gets hectic and stuff. So that can always be a reprieve, like something that takes you away from the, hustle and bustle and stuff. And then you get to do this, something out of the norm and do something, good for others. And like I said, it doesn't have to take a long time, but it can if you need that time, if you need that break to go, because yeah, everyone's busy, but it's making that time to do something. And then, like I said, once it starts, it's like a healthy addiction. It's good, and then you want to keep going back to doing it.
Wow, so for you, it's the knowledge of prior experience, what you get from that it's worth it to push through. And you're also saying that you feel like it gives you the break from the other part of your life. So it's actually refreshing for you. And
Correct.
that's how you motivate yourself to give, even if you're tired or even if you've had a busy day or if things are very chaotic in life. That's wow. I mean, that's a true testimony to this concept that true love moves in a circular motion, right? That it continues the more that you give, the more that you receive. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
How about Ethel? How do you overcome the more challenging times, or what motivates you?
I did mention that I got married in 2017, and I actually met my amazing husband, and he's actually watching us also. So I've been single, for a long time, and I kind of prayed that, okay, God, if you're gonna give me a partner, then I want this, because my life has been built on serving. So it's going to be difficult, to get married to somebody whereby you would have to change, your ways of giving, because, the other person is not feeling it, right? And thank God that I did not, experience that. My husband and I were so immersed in what we do. We love doing what we do, and we're known in our Lions Club as Momsy and Popsy, because there are 34 kids, in our club also. And I think the rush of giving, the rush of really making connections, the relationship, that's what gives me, the energy of being able to keep on going. And of course, thanks to Tylenol PM, if I'm so tired, then I'll just, pop Tylenol PM and then I'm good, the next day. So there are ways that, you can be dead tired and dead tired with so much, energy because you're feeling, the happiness that you have in your heart. So.
Wow, I mean, that's fantastic. You said your names are Momsy and Popsy. Is that what your names are?
Yeah,
I love
they
it.
call us that.
And I love all your practical tip too, that get to sleep really well so you have enough energy for the next day. But it sounds like for you that so much practice in this area has really made it a lifestyle for you. And it is ingrained in your fiber and your way of being and for your couple. And thank you for your husband who's supporting you, because in Women's Federation, we know we need the men as much as we need the women. So we want to appreciate them as well. Wow, you guys are like role models. It's really wonderful to meet women like you. As we get ready to kind of wrap up this session, I have one more question for you, and I'm curious to hear, when you look at the world today, and as we mentioned, we're in this giving season, right? Where it's the holiday season, and we're trying to think of giving for others, or maybe buying gifts for others, or trying to give a little bit more than normal during this season. But there's still a lot going on in our world, right? That's less than perfect, and many different crises and those who are suffering and struggling. But, in Women's Federation, we believe that this practice of true love and living for the sake of others is so essential in our world today, that this is really, if all of us could learn about this in school and practice it and make it a part of our lives, we really feel our families would change and our society would change. And that's our advice to the world. But I'm curious about your advice. When you look at the state of the world today, based on your life experiences, what advice would you give? What wisdom would you offer to our world today to help steer it in the right direction? And whoever feels ready to offer their wisdom first, you can just go ahead and volunteer.
It can start with just giving a smile, talking to someone that you meet on the supermarket line, being in the church also, making those small connections so that these people can feel that you are actually noticing them when you smile at them, when you ask how they are. So you're making that connection. It does not necessarily mean that you would have to spend a lot of money. Sometimes treating somebody with a cup of coffee when you're at getting gas over at QT, it means a lot. So sometimes I would do a spontaneous act of kindness by treating someone, like that. And I'm doing it for myself. It makes me really feel good. So there are so many ways. And if you're really open to it, God will just show you the way, because it's just going to come from your heart. And, you will feel the urge, to act on it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great advice. It's just starting with small acts. And I like that idea that as you build the habit, right? You build the habit. So this becomes a part of your life and you feel compelled to start giving more naturally in your everyday life. That's fantastic advice. Thank you. How about Margie? What's your words of wisdom?
So, like you said, there's so much going on in the world that you don't know what any individual is going through on their personal level. So when somebody, cuts you off in traffic or honks their horn or, yells at you in the grocery line or goes to the 10 items with 20, yeah, they could have something going on in their life. They could need to be somewhere. You just have to realize that you have to give people leeway nowadays because there's so much going on in so many different areas that you don't harbor it, don't take it to heart. there's a reason that they're doing it. So just, let it go. So it's just to enjoy yourself and be yourself and let them be them.
That is such a grounded practice because, we've all had those experiences in life, but what you're saying here is having compassion, right? And being able to see beyond the current situation, see them as a human being. We've all had bad days too, right? Where we were not as pleasant, or we made a bad turn while we're driving, and we're all trying to do our best in life and
Yeah.
practice goodness. But I love this idea of, no matter, it starts with just these small acts of kindness. That's what both of you are sharing here, is that to create this culture of true love and giving and living for the sake of others, it starts with these small practices that build up to a lifetime of living for the sake of others. And I don't know if you're watching the chat at all, but um, Ria says that many of us who are watching and listening are already inspired and want to become like you two. And I feel the same way. We're so grateful for the model of your life, and especially as a woman leader in our time. I know you have very busy lives, but the woman's touch is so essential to the healing that our communities need at this time. And so we want to really thank you for your investment and your leadership and your sacrifice, even with the many hats that you're wearing in your lives. So please join me in giving both Margie and Ethel a round of applause for their hearts and also the work that they're doing. And I'm going to wrap up our session here today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Women's Federation for World Peace is a nonprofit and an NGO in general consultative status with the United Nations ECOSOC. And if you want to be a part of our network and be able to support us and also stay connected to the many activities we're doing, we invite you to become a member of Women's Federation. You can go to wfwp.us/membership to sign up or to learn more about our organization. And in the meantime, our next event for the Global Women's Peace Network is the second Saturday in January, where we will have a Her Story Award featuring women peace builders who live by the logic of love. So you can mark that in your calendar, and we'll send out emails shortly with all the details. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. We wish you a very happy holidays, whatever you may be celebrating, and also a joyous new year. Thank you so much,
Happy
and have
holidays.
a wonderful rest of your evening. Good night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.